Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Relationships has their ups and downs, and sometimes you just go through life. You spend all your time and energy trying to build a life for you and your new family, but then you realized you've been neglecting your wife all this time. You try to reverse course upon realizing that you're going to lose the one person you care about the most, unless you make changes. Years later, you can say that you've done great, and now you like how life has turned out. Happy home life with the wife and kids. Then one day you get blindsided with the revelation that the partner you love and care for so much betrayed you in such a devastating way. With your own family member no less. This is what happened to the first poster of this episode. Original post. Title basically sums it up. I, 36 male, was absolutely blindsided last night. For some background info, my wife 35, and I have been married for 11 years, and have 2 young children together. We weren't as close at the beginning of our marriage because I was working so much, but since having kids, we grew to be a lot closer. Likewise, I never had the best relationship with my brother, and we've frequently clashed throughout our childhood and adulthood. However, he attended college in the same city where I reside, and because housing was too expensive, I let him stay with us as a sophomore. After college and marrying my sister-in-law, he has become a lot more mature, and our relationship improved. Of course, all of my feelings towards the both of them have changed for the worst after last night. So, the other day, I invited my brother and sister-in-law to dinner. We all had a good time, and after the kids went to bed, we decided to have some drinks. Unbeknownst to me, my brother and sister-in-law had been arguing all day before coming to our house, so tensions were high. During a story about my brother's time in college, I could tell my sister-in-law was getting agitated. She kept looking at me, and I was confused as to why, until we all were quiet. She turned to me and said something along the lines of, "Did you know your brother and wife were pretty much hooking up the whole time?" At first, I thought she was just making a sick joke, until I saw their faces. Both my brother and my wife had expressions that were a mixture of shock and guilt. Even thinking about it now makes me sick to my stomach. Before they even said anything, I knew. I got up from the table, and both of them followed me trying to apologize and explain. From what I understood is that, during my brother's sophomore year, my wife cheated on me with him. They slept together while I was away from the house, and they decided to end it because they didn't want to hurt me. Yeah, right. He wasn't with my sister-in-law at the time, so he must have told her about their affair recently. I'm not sure how long she has known nor why she decided to tell us this at dinner. My wife tried to justify it by saying that it was 8 years ago, and she didn't want to throw away what we have now for a mistake in the past. I threw them all out of the house, and I haven't responded to any calls or texts. I'm unsure of where to go from here because my wife and I have kids together, and like she said, it was 8 years ago. I was humiliated last night, and I'm not sure what my next step should be. I can't get the image of them together in my house out of my head. I love my wife so much, but this revelation has completely shattered my image of her. I don't know how I can ever forgive my brother for this. Now for the top advice before reading the update. The justification of it was 8 years ago baffles me. Like, yes, maybe, but to me, it is new information today. I personally don't think I'd be able to get past that. I'd divorce, since I'd rather see my kids grow in 2 separate happy homes than watch me resent their other parent. I'd be going no contact with the brother, and I would take out the sister-in-law for drinks. She really did you a solid. Take DNA tests from your children as well. It's best to know. I had a person lie to me about something, and when I finally figured it out like 8 months later and asked her about it, she was like, "I don't know why you care about this. It's old news." Yeah, old to you, brand new to me. My ex was always like, "Why are you bringing up my past cheating? We're talking about my recent cheating," which is a paraphrase, removing all BS and nonsense rationalizations. I'm pretty sure sister-in-law waited to be drunk to tell him. Now she told him and cleared her conscience, with little to no backfiring from it. Smart. OP, thanks sister-in-law, she's a great person. I'd like to add that I have no problem with the sister-in-law's timing for lobbing this grenade. It made it impossible for the wife and brother to lie and keep it hidden. Some would argue against the way this was done, but there was no way this information could be soft-pedaled anyway. It always baffles me when the lying or cheating partner says that the other person would be throwing away the relationship. No, they threw it away by cheating on you, and then lying for 8 years. Oh, but remember, they didn't want to hurt him, so they're saints really. Oh, absolutely, so consider it. Get the kids tested and get yourself checked for STDs. She was willing to cheat with your own brother, so she's not overly concerned it will get back to you. There's no reason to think this is the only time she cheated. As for her explanation, here's what she means. She only cheated because she wanted to, and only hid it because she didn't want to have any consequences. She's been cool with lying to you all along. She only feels bad now because it might negatively impact her life. I'm sorry, but you just found out who your wife really is. Thank you. I can't even begin to think about DNA testing, but you're right. I need to know the full truth. I don't think our marriage is going to continue. She has completely broken my trust and would have continued to lie about it if my sister-in-law hadn't brought it up. And now for the update. First and foremost, I DNA tested my children. The affair took place years before they were born, but I wanted to be sure. They are mine. My kids mean everything to me, and it's difficult having to try to explain what's going on and why their parents are suddenly splitting since they're so young. I've been very depressed as of late, and besides work or taking care of them, it's been hard to find the energy to do anything. I feel so numb, and it's been so difficult adjusting to this new life. As for my wife, it's been hard talking to her. Every time I see her, I'm reminded of her and my brother's betrayal. I imagine them in my own home, knowing that both of them knew they were hurting me. She's currently living with a friend while I stay in the house. I've been very cold towards her, and every conversation has been mainly about our kids. Under our state's guidelines, my wife and I are separated and undergoing a cooling-off period for a couple of months. However, there is almost no question we are going to get divorced. My wife has been very bitter about this, and she's gone from calling me an asshole to begging me to take her back. I've received texts, calls, emails from some of her family members asking me to reconsider. I don't think that I could ever really trust her again knowing she hid this from me, especially when she had constant contact with her affair partner, my brother. I love her, but I also resent her deeply. A few days ago, I agreed to meet with my brother and sister-in-law. It was a tough decision because I haven't seen him since that night at dinner, and I wasn't sure if I would be able to meet face to face without hitting him in the face. He again expressed remorse and guilt. He told me that he and my wife had always been close, and the following is basically a summary of his side. My wife and I met in college, and he was introduced to her when he was still a teen. He said their relationship at first was like having an older sister. Our dad left when he was young, and I think that I tried to fill the fatherly role, which led to us frequently clashing. Meanwhile, my wife was someone that would listen to him. He said that whenever they saw each other, she was always friendly and warm, treating him like a best friend. He said that he developed feelings for her which she apparently was aware of, but nothing ever happened between them because she treated him like a friend. It wasn't until he was in college and living with us that she reciprocated, and the affair began. She was the one to break it off because she wanted to try rekindling our marriage. It was a secret that both of them agreed to keep, and he was terrified of telling me, especially after our relationship improved in adulthood. I'm still furious with my brother for lying to me over the last 8 years, but his story helped me understand the context of the affair a little better. It doesn't make me feel any better, but I am at least aware of how it started. It makes me sick to think of my wife doing this. This woman, once the love of my life and mother of my children, is like a stranger to me now. My sister-in-law only knew that my wife and brother had an affair, but she was unaware of their earlier relationship. She apologized to me for revealing it the way she did, and humiliating both me and my brother over an argument they'd had earlier. Thank you for reading this far. I'm unsure of where to go from here. I still feel so broken and lost after my wife's revelation, and I know that I have to keep going for my kids, but I'm not sure when or if I can think about forgiveness or moving on to a new relationship. Where do I go from here? It feels like my life has been completely torn apart. Gray rock is a technique to use whenever you have any contact with your wife. If your decision to divorce is final, contact should stay civil and be about the children only. Any questions about anything else should be diverted to your divorce lawyer. If you haven't retained a lawyer, you should do that as soon as possible. Came here to suggest the gray rock or the 180 method for UOP. Please spend some quality time with your kids, family, and friends. If you haven't already, you need to inform your family and friends of what your wife and brother did. They betrayed you in a significant manner. You certainly don't owe it to them to lie to cover their cheating. They need to face the consequences, and if you lie or keep quiet, then the cheaters win. This brings me to this second point. She has a strong dissonance when she was calling you an asshole for kicking her out, so somehow it is your fault now. That tells me that she's not okay with having to deal with the consequences of her actions. Her begging to take her back is just her way to cover her behind and to keep maintaining her lifestyle and a good family image. It has got nothing to do with you. As for her family members calling you to ask you to reconsider, they of course would have her best interests at heart. Unfortunately, her best interests do not align with your best interests anymore. If you want, I would call the soon-to-be ex-father and mother-in-law and ask them these questions. If their own partner betrayed them in such a significant manner, would they still get back together with that person? If they are brazen enough to answer yes, then tell them that you would need to have no self-respect in order to do that. Also, request them to stop calling, or better yet, just block all her family's numbers. Good luck. This is hard, but this too shall pass and days will get less worse. Sorry OP. Ultimate betrayal by two people who claim to love you. Your wife is, sorry to say, trash. Took advantage of a younger man, your brother, in your home. Unacceptable. Stick to your guns. She was going to take this to her grave. There is no coming back from this. She called you an asshole first. Now she is begging. Of course, she crushed her world. Not you, her. Divorce her. You can do better. My wife has been very bitter about this, and she's gone from calling me an asshole to begging me to take her back. I find it hilarious she has any right to be bitter, considering she is the one who cheated. But hey, cheaters never change and are always selfish pieces of trash. Now for the last story. My girlfriend goes out with her single female friend, and two guys I've never met or heard of. Original post. So my 23 male, girlfriend 25 female, went out with her single friend last night, and they hung out and partied with two guys I've never met or heard of. While I'm usually chill about her going out with her friends, I do feel a discomfort knowing she had done coke all night and woke up with a hangover. Obviously I don't control her, but I just don't like the idea of it. How should I react to this situation? She was too hungover to really have a conversation with me this afternoon, so I told her we can talk later. I blindly trust her always, but is this something I should just not pay mind to? Or is it okay to tell her I don't really feel comfortable with her doing that? Now for the top advice before reading the update. There is a huge difference between setting boundaries and controlling someone. If you're not comfortable with her doing meds, which is totally understandable, especially with strangers, because that's just stupid and unsafe, and she can't respect that, it might be time to be done. In my experience, if they cross the line of your comfort once and try to convince you it's okay, they're going to keep doing it. Your girlfriend and her single girlfriend go out, hang out with two dudes you don't know, doing coke all night, and she tries to turn it around on you. That is the recipe for disaster right there, brother. I definitely would not tolerate that, not in a relationship. Yes, she crossed the line. Up to you if you decide to try and talk to her about it. If she gets defensive and tries to turn it back on you again, walk on, tell her have a nice life. Stay strong, stand by your principles. You got this, brother. Good luck. You have to be a moron to ignore this giant red flag. She and friend went out with two guys all night doing coke and partying all night. She definitely cheated. My ex did the same. She did recreational meds, usually at parties that I wasn't at. It's the same story. One time she got so high and practically tore my clothing off after returning from a party. At first I was like, hell yeah. But the next day, 2020 kicked in, and I wondered if that behavior happened to someone else when I wasn't available. If you're saying to yourself yes, ding ding winner winner chicken dinner. Eventually even her own friends were like, you're a great guy, but she's banging so and so whenever she gets a break from you. Either they meet at party I couldn't attend, or they just went to a bar then parking lot. He was an ex that sold stuff, so she was getting a discount. What a horrible way to live your life. Karma was not kind to her. Eventually all that partying and stuff did something to her brain, and she ended up really messed up needing long-term care. Last time I saw her, I don't think she could even speak. Just sad really. She was fun to be with, and I really did love her and her energy, but I guess part of that energy was coming from that self-destructive side. And now for the update. I spoke to her and explained why it made me uncomfortable. Obviously, I got hit with the, why don't you trust me, and the, this is controlling behavior thing. But again, this is not about trust for me. It is not about telling her what she can and can't do in this relationship. This is about having a certain level of respect and boundaries in a relationship based on my expectations. So, I made it clear that she can do whatever she wants, and that's fine. However, I made it clear that I don't like it and it's not something I want in my romantic relationship, and she can do whatever she wants with that information. Simple as that. No one should have to deal with things they don't like in a relationship. If they can't respect that, and their actions show you they didn't take those things into consideration, then you know where she stands and you can end the relationship knowing that you respected yourself and your woman. This goes the same for anyone in a relationship. I have made a decision. After a lot of thought and talking to my mom and some friends, I think it's best I end my relationship. Thinking about it makes me incredibly sad, as it's difficult not to think back on the good memories we've had, but I know it'll be better for me in the long run. Despite how much this is going to suck, I'm going to focus on just myself now. I just started a new job that I love, got my driver's license, and I'm eager to build and grow myself up to be the best version of myself. I've realized just how often my girlfriend's been gaslighting me. The thing is, she's done this before with this same friend, where she went to the club with her and 2 guys. Her friend apparently was hooking up with one of the guys, and she admitted to having danced a bit with the other guy. We've also already had a rocky week prior to this because she hid her phone from me while we were sitting on the couch watching the new Stranger Things finale. So, there's been a clear pattern. I had approached her about both incidents and was labeled as controlling when I asked her if I could see who she was Snapchatting, and she declined to show me. She also claimed that I shouldn't have to look through someone's phone if you trust them, but I just asked to see who she's snapping, which is perfectly reasonable given the circumstance. I should have left her then. Along with that, she's also seemingly avoided posting pictures of us together romantically on her Instagram, but she has 20+ photos of her ex still on there. She takes her Instagram seriously, as in she cares about her follower to following ratio. She never respected me, and I guess I'm just coming to terms with it now. I was naive about it, but I can say I've learned a valuable lesson about relationships. Set boundaries early in your relationship. Put your foot down, because a woman won't respect you otherwise. I thought giving her the freedom to do what she wanted all the time was a way to show her I trusted her and that I wasn't bothered by other guys. Well, screw that. I'm territorial, whether I like it or not. That's who I am. Maybe this is all right for her, but this isn't the type of committed relationship I was looking for. Writing this has already helped me so much for me to come to terms with it. Thank you to those that listened and gave some thoughtful responses. I'll give an update on the situation probably within the next few days. Last update. Just came here to say I broke up with her, and I actually feel a bit relieved. Obviously, I feel some sadness, but I feel like it was the right choice. Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. The poster of this story thought he married a great person in his wife, until one instance after an 8-week-long business trip she took, she started acting strangely. Then he found out that she actually took an STD test when she came back. Now let's read the full story. Original post. My 28 male, wife, 26 female, is a great person and we have always gotten along. We have been married for almost 2 years and we've been together for 4.5 years. We are in a monogamous relationship and have both had several partners prior to our relationship. Every year, my wife goes on a long business trip, typically about 2 months. During this time, communication over phone and email can be difficult, contingent upon the technological issues where she works. She really enjoys her work during the business trips and usually comes home feeling fulfilled and excited about life. Normally when she comes home, she takes a day or 2 to rest and overcome the jet lag, 28-hour travel time, and 21-hour time difference. The following days, we tend to spend lots of time together, be intimate, dates, cuddling, catching up and so on, because she's been gone so long. This year, she came home as her same excited self after having had a great trip. In fact, she seemed so excited that she wanted to work on some projects, but would need to go get some material from the store. About 3 hours after picking her up from the airport, she says she wants to go shopping for her craft project, and that she will likely spend several hours out shopping. She really emphasizes how much time she'll need to go shopping, many hours. I think this is a little weird considering that she just came back from a 28-hour flight, hasn't slept, and she's usually not the type to spend more than an hour or 2 shopping. But whatever, it's fine. About 5 hours later, she comes home with a single bag of craft material. I register this as strange, but don't really think about it. I chalk it up to taking a lot of time to pick out her materials, carefully selecting them instead of bulk buying. Over the next few days, she didn't really go through the jet lag phase and stayed distant. I thought that was weird, but ended up giving her space and just focused on school. About 2 weeks post-return, we still weren't being intimate. Despite my advances and lightly prodding the issue, I just get a "I'm just feeling off and don't feel like it" response. I find that strange, since she is usually a 3 to 4 times a week kind of person, and we've been exploring some new kinks prior to her trip, which we had talked about kindling once she returned. The first few times that she doesn't reciprocate my advances, I don't think anything of it. We've always had a very open no policy, and are attentive to one another's needs, like time, tired, Not feeling it, need it now. After 2 weeks, the combination of her distance and no intimacy feels really off. Over the weekend, she met up with her girlfriends for a day out. During that time, I snooped on her computer. If that bothers you, stop reading now. We have always been extremely open with our phones and social media. We both know our phone and computer passwords, and she knows my Facebook and so on. While she was out with her friend, I looked on her computer. She left her work and personal email and Facebook open or logged in. So I looked. Nothing out of the ordinary. Then I looked in the recycle bin and found that she had taken some private pictures with her phone, sent them to her email, downloaded, then deleted them, hence the recycling bin. I thought that was odd. Normally we would send pics to each other, not put them on our computers. Maybe she really liked them, she did look hot, and decided to keep them. This has my gears turning, because she has been really disinterested in intimacy since returning, but is taking selfies wearing lingerie. I looked at the metadata on the picture, confirmed it was taken recently, and that it was downloaded from Gmail. I went and looked at her Gmail. Nothing terribly odd here, but anything before 3 days after returning home had been deleted from her inbox, then deleted from the trash folder or not archived. Like if she came home on the 1st, everything before the 4th was deleted. However, in her trash bin was a confirmation of appointment for a health clinic in an adjacent city. It had a link with a user ID to log into the patient portal if you needed to change your appointment. I logged in with the ID and her common passwords, which I already knew from us sharing. The portal is mostly empty, but showed that she had scheduled and kept an appointment the same afternoon that she got home from her trip. The portal allows you to request records from visits, so I did. They were delivered to the portal about 30 minutes later. She had gone in for STD testing 5 hours after coming home from an 8-week business trip. To summarize, 1. Gets tested for STDs while saying she is going shopping the day she returns from an 8-week business trip. 2. Concealed the fact that she was tested, didn't leave phone number or address at the clinic, careful to delete emails pertaining to the clinic, made cover excuse to go out. 3. Super distant with me but very engaging towards friends and coworkers, and no intimacy. 4. Says not interested in it, but dresses up to take private pics and more. Found lots of videos open on her computer. Vibe out, not anything odd. We watch these videos together and alone. Open about self-servicing. 5. On a similar business trip, she did almost the exact same thing. Got tested as soon as she got home from a 7-week trip. Refrained from intimacy for about a week and distant. I found out via similar ways. Shared computer. Saw email from health clinic about results on portal. Previously, when I asked her about it, she said she had a UTI and went in for a full STD panel. Totally plausible, I let it go. I just feel like there's a pattern here. Also said that STD test was normal for women during checkups, although most clinics say that you must ask for the tests or have reasonable suspicion. 6. No real reason to suspect cheating, but damn, this feels weird. All the elements of possibility are there, I suppose. Possible explanations. 1. She had another health problem that seemed to resolve itself. Maybe she wanted more follow-up and didn't want to belabor me with the details, although the other health issue isn't urogenital related. She didn't receive any tests that would aim to diagnose the concomitant issue. 2. Health information could be weird if someone reading over your shoulder sees an email in your personal inbox from a clinic, so you delete it. I'm not sure this explains why her inbox was cleaned or stuff deleted from the trash. 3. Maybe she feels a little detached from me after being away for so long and needs more time to warm back up. 4. Could have also had another UTI and got STD panel at the request of practitioner. Although no antibiotics, treatments were administered during the visit or weren't documented. 5. Maybe she thought I was cheating and got tested. Although 8 weeks later seems a little outside of the incubation period. The secrecy of the whole thing really bothers me. Any ideas on how to approach this topic with my wife or other possible explanations? Now for the top advice before reading the updates. She's totally cheating. This man is choosing to be blind. It's like somebody is slapping him nonstop with red flags, over and over and over again. Whilst laying bloody and battered on the floor, flag stripes all over his broken body, he keeps murmuring, "She did not cheat on me, no way." I'd print all the proof you need, confront her about it so that she can't lie. She's cheating OP. Yup, STD tests aren't routine during gyno checkups. You have to ask for it specifically, and if her portal only says appointment for STD panel, she isn't doing a routine health screening. Honey, I know about the STD checkup. That's how you approach this situation. Or I would like to talk about your recent doctor's appointment. At this point, there is absolutely no need to jump to conclusions. Don't spend a lot of time hashing over it, just go and speak to her. Do not listen to all these miserable people who will say you're blind, stupid, or foolish. None of that matters. What matters is getting it straight with this woman and getting back to your life. All wrong, dude. She cheated on you, plain and simple. She's probably been cheating on you for a while now, if multiple business trips have resulted in this. If you two are as open as you say you are, there's no reason for her to delete private pics she never sent to you, no reason to delete everything from up to 3 days prior, no reason to hide the test results from you, no reason to lie about having gotten the test in the first place, and no reason to be distant. Dude, you've made up explanations that simply don't fit. The simplest explanation is generally the correct one. She's cheating on you. Sure, I know it looks that way, which is why I'm asking for advice and possible alternatives here. I am hesitant to make any accusations without more empirical proof. I feel like most of what I'm saying here is largely circumstantial and I could be spinning a web from nothing. Just looking for some thoughtful insights, maybe from other women about how normative this is. All signs point to cheating man. Sorry, I cannot think of a viable alternative, and I'm generally a more logical person who doesn't jump to immediate conclusions. Good luck. I think it's best to just confront it for what it is, and either move on with counseling or divorce. Now for the multiple short updates. Update 1. Admitted to cheating on her trip. Says only once. Evidence suggests at least 2. Update 2. 3 confirmed in 1 trip. Digging in now. Update 3. Typical. It was a one-time thing responses. It was your fault responses. Confirmed at least 3 dudes during her last trip alone. Likely systemic serial cheater since we've been together. Refuses to admit anything outside this business trip, even though she had carbon copy behavior 2 years ago. Refuses to be honest. Claims she wasn't going to meet anyone on her current solo camping trip. I know otherwise. Keep catching her in lies. Filing papers now. Update 4. It's at least 4 now. 1 on her first trip 2 years ago, hence the STD test then. Mutual friend knew about it, kept it secret. This is days or a week after we got engaged. Now for the full update at D-Day Plus 55. Hey folks, I'm at D-Day Plus 55 and I wanted to share a little bit more of my story and just talk it out. It gets a bit lonely at night and that's when my gears start cranking without the noise of the day to keep up distractions. So writing it out and clearing the air is perhaps cathartic. Wife and I have been married for 1.5 years, together for 4.5. We are both graduate students. I'm working towards my MD/PhD in genetics, and she is working towards her PhD in microbiology. No kids, few assets, not much debt. Here's the backstory if you'd like more information. Luckily, we study at different schools. I'm on the West Coast, where she was residing with me and working remotely, and she studies at my undergraduate institution in another state. When I found out and confronted her, she was on her way back to her school to do lab work and have committee meetings. So, our communications were largely conducted via text messaging and email. She was too much of a coward to speak to me on the phone. I suppose the discovery of infidelity in one's relationship is shocking and painful, and begins to pave an arduous road towards the penultimate reconciliation, or the parsing of community property. In my case, it's been the latter. It's not the intimacy that bothers me. I can understand those inclinations. I'm a biologist. Attraction, emotional investment, feeling wanted, the taboo of risk, adrenaline, those things make sense to me. What I could not understand is how my wife, someone I adore and respect immensely, could lie to her affair partners about who and what I am. It's like her inner monologue flowed freely to them, her true thoughts about me expressed vocally. That made me physically sick. I'm not a bad guy. I've always been there for my wife. We jived on every level, from toilet paper orientation to politics, humor, hobbies, and intimacy. It just doesn't make sense. During the post-mortem, I've often come to the realization that, as a partner on a two-way street, I could have always done more or achieved a stronger marriage. That's the sentimental part of my brain saying, look at all these missed opportunities for communication and growth. If you had really loved your wife, you would have figured it out and met her needs. That's a deadly game of roulette to play. The retrospective what if on infinite regression plays discordantly upon the soul. If the discovery of infidelity wasn't shocking enough, I also asked my wife to reconcile. She denied. I gave her a list of demands with 7 items. The header reads, the ground rules. If you choose not to comply, or I suspect that you have failed to comply with these rules, I will divorce you. Here is the abridged version of what I asked for. 1. You will allow me unfettered access to your phones, accounts, devices, and computers at any time without hesitation. 2. You will forfeit and show me all communications and materials of all extramarital relations that you've engaged in, no matter how minor or how insignificant you feel they were. 3. You will allow me to professionally recover data from your phone and other devices. If there is something that you haven't told me yet or haven't given me the full story, this would be a good time to do so. I extend you amnesty for other grievances notwithstanding lying. 4. You will contact all parties that you've engaged with, in any way, and explain that you were in a monogamous relationship. Your husband knows, and that you messed up. You will apologize for misleading anyone about your relationship status, and you will contact their partners and explain what happened. 5. You will get tested for STDs and STIs every month for the next 6 months, including blood panels. This information will be made available to me at my request. 6. You will seek and engage in cognitive behavioral therapy until you have been treated for your dysmorphia, eating disorder, and have healthy managed your traumas. You and I will receive marriage counseling indefinitely or until we both feel that our problems have been resolved. We will both engage in communication coursework or reading. 7. Rules for opening the relationship. Maybe too controlling. Everything that I asked her for, I also offered to reciprocate where applicable. The first bloodletting was the discovery of the infidelity, and the mortal strike was her denying me safety in the relationship through dismissal of my needs. Once it was clear that she wasn't trying to reconcile, I was ready to burn it to the ground. I threatened to contact her partners, contact her affair partner's significant others, file professional misconduct complaints as one affair partner was her physician, contact her research board about misconduct, and contact her direct bosses, people whose image is jeopardized by her actions. She freaked out and suddenly became extremely receptive to what I was asking for. Begged me not to ruin her career, begged me not to tell anyone. I felt bad, apologized, and told her I wouldn't do that. By then, she had already gone to her bosses and conveyed some truth-trickled story to them. I obviously added a lot more pain to the situation by playing that card. This was almost a month ago. She filed for divorce the next day, threatened to file an order of protection so that I wouldn't contact people in her life, and then told me she couldn't forgive me for threatening to expose her like that. That's when I woke up. I had been drowning, undergoing hemorrhagic shock, and the hypothermia was creeping in. I had been desperately trying to get my wife on the shoreline to throw me a life preserver. My actions caused her to get her feet wet and she couldn't handle it. I started to understand who she was, weak and cowardly, not exactly life partner material. A few weeks later, I had a realization. It's like she died. That's what the pain and emptiness and anger feel like. I found out later that she was still in contact with one of her partners. Another punch in the gut. Anyways, that's where I'm at. I applaud you if you made this far. Our divorce is underway and will hopefully be resolved cleanly. For the time being, things here are quiet, empty, and lonely. My schoolwork has suffered, and I'm thinking about taking some time off to process everything. Thanks for listening. One affair partner was her physician. Agree with not going scorched earth, but I would report this guy. It's very unethical and medical board violation for a physician to take advantage of the power dynamic of a physician-patient relationship. Essentially, he's a predator. He'd be doing society and his future patients a favor. Yeah, I've really thought about this one a lot. I have a professional obligation to report him. Like you're suggesting, this probably isn't the first time he has engaged in this kind of behavior. According to my wife, he made her verbally affirm that he was not her doctor. I'm not sure if he signed any medical documentation that would suggest he was involved with her care. However, she acknowledged that he was on her care team, and that he performed sonography to screen for internal bleeding, at one point commenting that my wife had acute uterus. The guy sounds like a scumbag. I'm not sure what third-party reporting would accomplish though. I suspect my wife and he would both deny the encounters. If he's ever filed an insurance claim for treating her, he's her doctor. Given the nature of how her healthcare works during her fieldwork, there is no insurance paperwork. She admitted via text to me that he was on her care team. That's how they met. She also admitted to me that he performed sonography on her. You should still expose her to everyone involved. She might be carrying diseases that she's spreading. You giving people a heads up that their husbands might be bringing home an STD from your wife is the moral thing to do. I've seen the STI or STD results. She is clean. But I see what you mean. There is a potential public health hazard, but that's something that everyone engaging in intimate activity has to bear. I applaud that you've had the restraint to not contact everyone she's seeing. It sounds like she's already moved on. It isn't fair, because it feels like she's won the divorce and relationship already. But she sounds like she's behaving like a single 26 female, instead of a married 26 female for a long time now. The quicker you bring yourself back into the mindset of being a single 28 male instead of a married 28 male, the better off you'll be. She has a head start. It isn't fair. I know, dude. It seems so unfair even reading this. Maybe I'm projecting my own life into your situation, but it killed me how unfair it was that my ex was able to basically walk away and have a bunch of relationships while I was stuck alone and bitter. I felt ruined. But you bring up some good points. Y'all never had kids, seem to have kept your lives somewhat separate despite being married. In a few years, this one will be the immature woman you married in your 20s. Don't make it the story of the woman you're retaliated against professionally to make her hurt as much as you hurt, because you seem like a decent enough person, and reconciling that with your self-image would be pretty damn hard. But you seem to be thinking about it the right way. Her life seems really sad. You escaped a sinking ship, dude.